Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is a much requested video. This is budget serums. And I'm going to start at the very beginning because it's a very good place to start. And I'm going to talk about the controversy surrounding The Ordinary. And if you don't live in the beauty bubble and you're not obsessed with the beauty industry, you might not know that any of this has gone on. But about exactly a year ago, I interviewed Brandon Truax, the founder of Deciem and The Ordinary, and we talked about how he planned to revolutionise the beauty industry by launching a range of products, which at the time was fairly concise, of budget, direct-to-consumer, active ingredient-based skincare. And it was all between £5 and £10, and this was a game changer. And since then, there's been a whole host of hideous email sending, social media shaming. It's all just been horrible. And as a result, the whole brand has been left with a bad taste in its mouth, and the beauty industry has looked for alternatives. And here they are. There's a lot of pressure within the industry to not mention any of the Deciem products, and even to blacklist people that mention them. That's not where I come from. I'm not going to judge anybody for saving money on skincare, but you know what? There are better alternatives out there that are the same price with the same level of active ingredients. Why wouldn't you support a new brand? So today I'm going to introduce you to 4 competitors that are well worth looking at. They are all directly inspired, there's no getting away from it, by The Ordinary, and they come from very interesting, disruptive founders who I think are well worth supporting, and they will save you money in the process. Let's start with, let's do it alphabetically, Garden of Wisdom. Garden of Wisdom is, and I've got one of the original products here. Garden of Wisdom has been around a long time. It actually is an ingredients and finished product manufacturer based out on the west coast of America. If you go to their site, it's very hippy drippy. I've talked about this before. In fact, I'll link to my original video below. And what happened was it was discovered in the UK by the founders of Victoria Health, a website that I regularly recommend and suggest you go on to find really disruptive skincare and great supplements. And they were looking for a competitor to The Ordinary, and what they did was they discovered Garden of Wisdom and they worked with them. Shabir, the pharmacist, one of the founders of Victoria Health, worked with them to polish up the diamond in the rough, and it became GOW. New packaging. This is their gold standard product as far as I'm concerned. It's actually the only one that isn't in a dropper, and I've talked about it before. It's their 23% vitamin C and 2% ferulic serum. Now, I'll be really honest with you, and this is the problem with all budget skincare, is you're not going to get the lovely clunk click packaging, and I have had leakage problems with this vitamin C before. But you know what? It's £10. It's beautiful to use. It's easy to use. There's no grittiness, there's no heaviness, morning and night. It's just a really lovely antioxidant serum. And so what happened was Victoria Health have brought a selection, an edited curation of Garden of Wisdom's quite extensive, quite weird product list, to be perfectly frank. And what they've got is they've got just an edited selection that's now available, and the formulations have been tweaked on Victoria Health. And I have to say, genuinely, I recommend it now. It's pretty much a great budget skincare. Let's go through what they've got. So they've got a total of 19 SKUs. That's individual products that are available on Victoria Health, and they're between £9 and £20, and they come directly from a manufacturer supplier on the west coast. And let's talk about just some of them. For example, let's go with active ingredients first. They've got a great hyaluronic acid serum, which is really nice, really reasonably priced. They've got an alpha-arbutin 2% kojic acid serum for pigmentation. I mean, these products are so reasonably priced. Now, this is what I'm going to say about all the brands I'm talking about here, including The Ordinary. I know what you guys do. You go on, you are so excited by how cheap they are. You buy 10 different products and then you ring me in a panic, or you DM me in a panic and go, how do I use these? Just because they're cheap doesn't mean to say you should go crazy. Buy carefully. You really shouldn't only be using, you should only be using 3 or 4 serums a day. You don't want to start layering different acids and retinols and vitamin C. You're going to irritate the hell out of your skin. So just because they're cheap does not mean to say you need to stack them high and keep using them. What have we got? We've got a salicylic acid serum at 2%. We've got a glycolic acid serum at 5%. You see, these are all relatively low level, and we're going to go on to another range that Victoria Health talk about a little bit later on with some really scarily high level actives. There's a mandelic acid at, oh gosh, I'm going to need my glasses. You know I'm getting geeky when I put my glasses on, right? There's a mandelic acid that's a 10%. Do you know what? I really like mandelic now. I'm beginning to like it more and more. I really think it's kind of like, it's the hot new acid on the block. It's general usage, really lovely. AHA. There's an azelaic acid at 10%. There's a lactic acid serum at 5% for drier skins. And then there are more generic ones. Oh, there's a niacinamide. I mean, it's a great range of products. There's an anti-aging multi-peptide, which is tiny. And then there's an eye contour serum, which is a weird one because it doesn't say eye contour peptide or eye contour vitamin K or all those active ingredients you would use around the eyes. All I'm saying is, if you don't want to buy The Ordinary, and I totally understand why you might not want to, knowing all the social media controversy, GOW, Garden of Wisdom, is a great budget alternative. They're really nicely formulated. They're really reasonably priced. Please only use 1 or 2 acids at the most at a time. Please don't start layering on high level acids with retinols and vitamin C. Just because they're reasonably priced does not mean to say these aren't highly active. Anyway, I'm going to put the link below to my original GOW video just to let you know they are still available, and the range is still really nicely curated, really heavily edited. And this is what I think I'm going to move on to. The Inkey List next, and the Inkey List it's a really interesting brand because, and they readily admit that they're really heavily influenced by Brandon and The Ordinary, and they love what he did, but what they're doing is they're not falling into the, oh, here comes a brand new ingredient, let's launch 8 different versions of it, and confusing the hell out of your consumer, which, to be honest, in the last year The Ordinary did. Even I got to the point where I just thought, really? Another retinoid? Do we really need like 8 different retinoids? Nobody does. They really don't. So what the Inkey List have done is they've given a really lovely, and please don't fall into the same trap, Inkey List founders. They've got a really lovely edited list of products in really, really chic, you know, I mean, you can't deny it. And they don't deny that they were directly inspired by Brandon and by things like the Beauty Pie as well. So what you've got inside is you've got directly inspired monochromatic packaging. This time actually it's recyclable packaging, plastics. And here, for a perfect example, is 30 ml hyaluronic acid in a little push top. There you go. And they are really lovely products. They're super chic. They are available from Feel Unique in the UK and directly, and that's a great hyaluronic acid. I mean, they are really nice, chic products. You would not be ashamed to have this alongside, you know, your Chanel or your whatever on your bathroom shelf. You really wouldn't. So let's run through what they offer. So they are, I'm looking at all my notes here, they are transparent active ingredient layered between £5 and £10. I mean, it's so cheap. There are 15 SKUs, as I said, created by a beauty buyer and a product developer. And they've been really honest that they just loved what The Ordinary was doing. I can't think they're doing it better, because hopefully they won't fall into the crazy a million different active ingredients that confuse the hell out of probably even a formulating chemist, let alone an influencer or a consumer. It's very interesting. When you buy them online, they offer something called the Beauty Translator, which is a direct dig at the too many SKUs that have been launched by The Ordinary. And what it is it's no jargon. And I love that with the packaging, because it says, yes, here's the active ingredient, it's hyaluronic acid, but underneath it says face serum, definition, and then it gives a definition, a powerful moisture binding ingredient that works within the skin and can hold up to 2,000 times its weight in water. I always thought it was 1,000 times its weight in water. There you go. I mean, the packaging is really cleverly thought through. It tells you everything you need to know. Let's go through what they offer. They've got a caffeine eye serum, and it just says caffeine, face, eye, definition, an anti-inflammatory antioxidant derived from coffee, reduces puffiness, dark circles. You know all this. And again, this comes in a really chic little, it's actually, you know, I've been testing this one, it's really lovely. It's a really lightweight, super light serum that just goes on. It's got a slight soft focus finish, so you could use it morning and night. I mean, the prices are so good. I'm going to gloss over the rosehip oil. You know I'm not a fan of oils, but if you're going to use an oil, please make it rosehip because it's super lightweight, loaded with natural antioxidants, and it's not going to clog your pores like coconut oil, which is essentially a wax because it's solid at room temperature. They have a turmeric serum as well, and you've heard me argue with Jo Jones about this. My argument is that the active ingredient in turmeric has to be at such a high level and it has to be extracted for it to be, well, for it to be active even internally, let alone externally and topically. So I reserve judgment on that. And they have a hemp as well, which is a rich moisturiser, which if you've got dry skin, I completely understand why you'd want a rich moisturiser. I'm of the opinion that you layer on serums, you don't really use rich creams. Let's move on to the acids though. And what I love about the acid, which I think is really interesting, is they've got three, I mean, not including the hyaluronic acid, which is technically an acid, but not a resurfacing acid. They've got three acids here. They've got a glycolic, a lactic, and an alpha hydroxy. And at first glimpse, they don't have the percentage on them. And you might think that's really strange because I know you guys, you're going to want the percentage. But you turn it over, and this is where it's so clever about this packaging. So it says lactic acid on the front. It explains how lactic acid works. And then you turn it over, it's got the Inkey List on one side, and then on the other side it's got sort of just a sort of let's talk about product highlights. And I had, if it looks weird with me putting my glasses on, it's because I have, these are so heavy, these glasses. They fall off me. So I have to have these weird little sort of plastic hooks on the back to keep them on, which means they're a right faff to put on. But at least when I do that, they don't fall down, otherwise they fall down. So, main ingredient on the front with a quick explanation, Inkey List on one side, and then you turn it on the other side and it says Inkey Info, ideal for all skin types, 10% lactic acid for mild exfoliation, 1% hyaluronic acid for extra hydration. That's perfect. Whoever designed and wrote this packaging, thumbs up all round. So you've got lactic acid, there's a larger glycolic acid, and it says derived from sugarcane, you know, essential ingredient to help remove dead skin cells. And then the Inkey Info on the other side says 10% concentration with a 5% witch hazel. Not really a big fan of witch hazel. I think it can be mildly irritating on the skin. It does definitely cut through excess sebum though. But then you go, if you're creating an acid and it's for skin prone to breakouts and you want to cut through sebum, don't make it glycolic. One of the most common questions I get is, I'm using a glycolic and my breakouts are really bad, and I'm going, that's because you're using an alpha hydroxy acid that is attracted to water for resurfacing. You need a beta hydroxy acid that's attracted to oil, and that's salicylic. Inkey List, you need to do a salicylic. I would say also we'll say the same about Revolution when I go on to Revolution, which are probably going to be next week because I'm going to have to split this into two. There's also an alpha hydroxy acid here, just a generic one here, which I think is an interesting thing to do. I don't really see the point unless you explain what the alpha hydroxy acid is, but obviously Inkey List has decided we really only know what glycolic and lactic is. So now we're talking about generics. So this is a 10% fruit acid. What fruit? I kind of want to know. And a 2% low molecular weight hyaluronic acid. You know, low molecular goes deeper into the skin. High molecular stay on the surface of the skin and tighten and draw water from the air. So that's a... I don't really see the point. They should have done a salicylic or explain what the other alpha hydroxy acid is. Obviously that's not a salicylic because that's a beta hydroxy acid. They've got a really nice squalene rich Q10, which is, I love Q10, it's a really nice antioxidant. It's coenzyme, it's found naturally in the body, most often in the heart because it has to protect the heart to keep working 24 hours a day. And it's quite hard to get from food, so it's quite nice to supplement, and it's quite nice to supplement on the skin. This is in squalene. I don't mind using squalene in the winter. I don't mind using it a little bit at night. The problem with antioxidants is I think ideally they should be used in the morning, and I wouldn't use squalene in the morning. I find it too rich for my skin. However, there's a beautiful vitamin C. It's in silicone though, and it's in a soft focus silicone, which makes it lovely to use during the day because it gives a really lovely light, soft focus finish, pore minimizing. Silicones can really blur the surface of the skin. It's a 30% L-ascorbic acid, which is super powerful, and I really like that. The problem is I don't think most people can take 30% during the day because it will tingle. if you've got sensitive skin. Now, before I go any further, I feel like I've gabbed on for far too long. So I'm going to split this video into two. I suspected you could not review 4 product ranges and have a conversation about the politics of budget skincare without it being split over 2. So I'm going to split this into 2 videos. Forgive me, but coming next week will be Revolution from Superdrug. Such an exciting, so that's, you know, Makeup Revolution has got a skincare line, and also QRX, fresh out of Miami, that's available at Victoria Health. So that's from the high street right the way through to a really niche brand that's coming to you from Victoria Health. So thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing. Tune in next week for part 2 of the best budget serums. It's an exciting time in beauty at the moment and I love it.